Hello friends, it's Christy Marcotte. Today I'm sharing some cards I made using Paper Rose's Autumn Stroll 6x6 paper collection. This is a beautiful fall paper collection. I love all the colors and the fun images. I'll quickly flip through the paper so you can see all the fun different designs. There are 18 double-sided pattern papers and you'll receive 3 each of 12 designs. There are 2 sheets that have cut-aparts. I ended up not using very many. I just used a few of the little birds. So there's a fun sheet. This is a fun paper. You can cut out just the corner element and use that on your card. There are several different designs that have beautiful autumn leaves. Definitely my favorite. Here's a fun one with some little birds, flowers, and leaves all in the lovely autumn colors. If you're interested in this paper collection or any of the products I use in this video, I will have links provided in the description box below. So let's go ahead and get started with card design number 1. I'm using a card sketch for inspiration. This is from MFT. It's number 563. And if you are interested in any of the card sketches I show in this video, I share all of that information on my coordinating blog post. That link is provided in the description box, or you can simply head over to christymarcotte.com. For this first card, I'm using one of the beautiful fall leaf backgrounds, layered it on some orange rust-colored cardstock. The very background of the card, I used some white shimmer cardstock. I used some of the pink and white stripe pattern paper for all of the circles, and I cut them out using a stitch circle die set. For the largest circle that goes off of the edge of the paper, I just trimmed it flush to that very edge. Before adhering it, I did put a scrap piece of cardstock just to keep it all nice and level. And with the diagonals, I decided to rotate them so they weren't all going the same direction. I've already stamped out the sentiment. This is from Paper Rose's Hello stamp set. The ink color is Polished by Catherine Pooler. I'll cut a fishtail on the right hand side, layer it on some more of this rust colored cardstock. And my cardstock layers are generally an additional 1/8 of an inch to the measurements listed on the sketch. All of my cards in this video except for the Slimline are American Standard A2 size, so 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. Just adhere this sentiment down. I did put that scrap piece of cardstock on the right side where it goes off of the circle. And to finish off the card, I'm adding some Love from Lizzie peel-off stickers in the gold color. These are the mini circles. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this sketch. Now moving on to card design number 2. The card sketch is from Freshly Made Sketches. It's number 506. I have another beautiful fall leaf paper for the background. I'm also adding this blue and white stripe pattern paper, and I cut out all of these strips using the Slimline strip die set. It adds this fun little stitch detail along the edge. I put some double-sided tape on the back of each of these strips, and I'm just adhering them to the lower right-hand corner as indicated on the card sketch. I'm leaving about 1/8 of an inch between each of the strips. And they are longer than my card panel, so I just flip that over and trim off the extra. Now I'll adhere that final strip down. And it would have been fun to line up all the blue and white stripes, but I wasn't really looking while I was adhering them down, so mine are more random. I'll put some ATG tape on the back, adhere this panel onto some blue cardstock, and then again on that rust colored cardstock. I love the addition of the blue with all of the pretty autumn colors. I'll put my card front onto a card base. I always use white cardstock for my card bases, and this is a nice sturdy cardstock at 120 pounds. Instead of the circle that's indicated on the sketch, I'll be adding this beautiful maple leaf, and this is a die set from Paper Rose. It has the outline and also the detailed piece of the leaf. I used some pretty copper mirror cardstock for the leaf, so it's super shiny. I'll just adhere those 2 pieces together using some liquid adhesive, and I did put my acrylic block on top and let that sit for a few minutes to make sure everything adhered nicely. Then I'll put some thin foam squares on the back so I can pop this up. Instead of putting the leaf in that lower left-hand corner as indicated on the sketch, I decided to center it. So once I have that in place, I can add the sentiment, and this is a cutout from the All Occasion sentiment sheet set. I put some double-sided tape on the back and I'll adhere it onto the leaf. To finish off the card, I'm adding some glitter enamel dots in a really pretty yellow color, putting 2 of them in the upper right-hand corner and 1 underneath the sentiment on the left side. So there is my finished card, and again, I did make 2 using this sketch. For card design number 3, I'm using another card sketch for inspiration. This is from Freshly Made Sketches. It's number 501. For the background paper, I have this orange tone-on-tone diagonal stripe design. I'll be featuring this beautiful paper with the birds, flowers, and leaves. I love this paper. The colors and designs are so fun. For that background strip, I decided to bring in some solid cardstock, and it's a gold, sort of a mustard colored yellow. It matches beautifully with the wings on the birds. I'm lining the very edge of this strip with some clear gold mirror peel-offs from Love from Lizzie. And I'm able to use some of these tiny scraps since I'll be covering up the center with that large pattern paper piece. I'll layer this piece on some brown cardstock, and I did cut out a die cut from the center, and I'll be using that here in just a moment. Put my card front onto a card base and decided to leave that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Before I adhere this panel, I am adding some of those scrap cardstock pieces where it goes above and below that mustard colored yellow strip. For the narrow banner that goes on the left side, I use that same yellow cardstock, and this cardstock has a texture on one side. I decided to use the smooth side for the piece that goes behind that pattern paper, but for the skinny banner on the left, I flipped it over so you could see that fun linen texture. I'll adhere that in place using some liquid adhesive. For the sentiment, I'll be adding the word hello, and this is a die set from Paper Rose. It has the word and also the outline. I used some pretty gold mirror cardstock for the word hello, and then dark brown cardstock for the outline, and that's where I cut it out of that background piece. I'll adhere the sentiment in place using some liquid adhesive. Then to finish off the card, I'll add a couple of pearls in the upper left-hand corner. These are really pretty. They have some orange and yellow all mixed together. I'm using an embellishment wand to pick them up since they don't have adhesive on the back. Then I'll add a drop of liquid glue and then press them in place. So there is my finished card, and again, I did make 2 using this sketch. This is one of my favorite cards since I love that bird pattern paper. Now moving on to card design number 4. I have some pretty white shimmer cardstock for the background, and I used the pierced rectangle die to cut that out. And I decided I would add some gold splatter to the background as well. So I'm using some Finetec metallic gold paints. Just put some water onto the little paint well, and then I'm tapping my paintbrush to get this beautiful splatter effect. And I'll be layering that panel on some pearlescent, it's like a light tan cardstock, and then I'll layer it again on some dark brown cardstock. For the white panel, I did use some ATG and also some liquid adhesive along the very edge. Since it has that pierced detail, I want to make sure it'll lay flat. I'll put ATG tape on the back and adhere the other 2 pieces together, put my card front onto a card base. I do want to mention I recently changed my camera and I'm still working with some of the settings. I noticed in this video after I recorded it that it really washes out the white, especially when I'm using this pretty white shimmer cardstock. So I'll keep working on the settings, so hopefully next time I won't wash out all of that pretty white cardstock. For the 3 squares that are indicated on the sketch, I use a stitched square die set from Paper Rose. Just cut out 3 different pattern papers, and I'll glue those down using some liquid adhesive. I decided to place the dark brown pattern paper with all the leaves in the center, and then I have the polka dot and the stripe paper above and below. I think that balances it out nicely. For the little branch of leaves that's indicated on the sketch, I'm using 2 different leaf die cuts from Paper Rose. This is their Ella's Garden Layering Scribble Leaf Set. Cut one of them out of a dark blue and the other out of that same background pearlescent light tan color. Next, I'll add a bow to the very end of the leaf branches. I'm using some orange twine that I just have on hand. Decided to do a double bow. Just trim off the tails. I'll put a glue dot on the back side and adhere it to the card. Since the knot from the bow is fairly thick, this wouldn't be an ideal card to mail without paying additional postage. This sentiment, I'm using another sentiment cut apart. This is Hello Gorgeous. Before adhering it to the card, I'll add some scrap pattern paper on the right side. I'll put liquid adhesive on the back and adhere it to the card. For a final finishing touch, I'll add some clear crystals. This is from Paper Rose's Clear Crystal Shaker Mix. There's several different sizes in this mix, and I like that you can use it with any paper since they're clear. I'll put 2 of them around the sentiment and 1 to the left of the orange stripe pattern paper. So there is my finished card, and this time I made 3 using this sketch. I think this will be a fun design to use when I'm down to just some small pattern paper scraps. Now moving on to card design number 5. For this card, I'll be making a slimline size card. I'm using this fun die from Paper Rose. This is their Slimline Card Creator 1 rectangle die. I cut it out from some white shimmer cardstock. I put double-sided tape on the back of all of the little edges on this frame. I'll remove the release paper and adhere the frame onto my card base. The Australian Slimline card size is a little bit different than the American Slimline card size. It's about 3 7/8 inches by 8 1/4 inch, but it still fits nicely inside a business size 10 envelope. This is a fun die since you can add 5 different pattern paper pieces into that frame window. And I'm just gluing those down using some liquid adhesive. The frame has that nice stitch detail all along the outside and also around each of those windows. So just adhering my final pattern paper piece. For the sentiment, I've already assembled it. This is from Paper Rose. It's a large hello sentiment. And I'll pop this up using some thin foam squares. I love the large size of the hello sentiment, and it fits perfectly on the slimline size card, although it does fit on an American standard A2 size card as well if you do it horizontally. So I'll just remove the release paper and adhere it to the card more on the right hand side. Once that's in place, I'll add a sentiment cut apart. This is a little something to make you smile. On the right hand side, I did cut it at an angle just for some extra interest. And I'll glue it down directly using some liquid adhesive. Then using one of the cut apart sheets, I cut out 3 little birds. These are so cute. I've already put some foam tape on the back side. I'll adhere the little red bird on top of the sentiment. Put the yellow and blue bird in the lower left hand corner, and then the flying bird is sort of flying above the letter H. To finish off the card, I'll add some more of the clear crystals. 2 in the lower right hand corner, 2 in the upper left hand corner, and 1 to the left of the sentiment and underneath that little bird that's flying. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I did change up a couple of the pattern paper pieces though. Now moving on to my final card design. This is card design number 6. This is a very simple card design. I really wanted to use the pattern paper that has all the pumpkins and leaves and little stems in the lower corner. So I cut down this panel, layered it on some brown cardstock, and for the background, there's some pattern paper that has 4 different patterns on one sheet. They're all 3 by 3 inches in size. So I cut down that panel so it would fit onto my card base. So it's 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Layered that piece on the same dark brown cardstock, put my card front onto a card base, and I'll leave that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. For the sentiment, this is one of Paper Rose's dies. It's Thanks. It does have the outline as well, but I decided not to use that piece. I just cut it out from the same dark brown cardstock, adhere it to the card, and for a finishing touch, I'm adding a small banner from blue cardstock in the upper right-hand corner. I'll just glue that down directly. So this is a nice flat card, perfect for mailing. So there's my finished card, and this time I made a total of 3 using this design. You could add some more detail with embellishments, but I wanted to keep some of my cards nice and flat. Now here's another look at the 14 cards I made using Paper Rose's Autumn Stroll 6x6 paper collection. If you prefer the larger size, this collection is also available in the 12x12 size. I will have links provided in the description box for all of the products I used in this video. Paper Rose is located in Australia and they do ship their products internationally, but you can also purchase most of their products here in the US, and I will have links to both locations in the description box below. They offer a wide variety of fun and unique products, and I love using their paper collections. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.